How do I know God's will for my life?
Does God want me to go to UCLA or Berkeley?
Should I get financial aid or not?
When should I get married?
To all the atheists who like to comment on my videos, this video is for Christians. It's not for you. When we start talking about God's will, it's easy to get confused because after somebody dies or a tragic accident, somebody will say, it was God's will. Really? It was God's will that she dies? Or what's the point of praying for something to happen if God's will is going to happen anyway? So once again, what is God's will? You know, this becomes clear when you ask, was it God's will for Judas to betray Jesus? Now let's talk about the three meanings of the will of God. Number one, it was God's sovereign will, His plan, His decree that Jesus be betrayed as foretold in prophecy. Yes, it was God's sovereign will that Jesus go through the horrible death on the cross for the redemption of His people. But number two, betrayal and lying goes against God's preceptive will. The laws and commandments God gave to us in the Bible. God's will is right here. This tells us God's standards, what God likes and dislikes, His preceptive will. So in this sense, God doesn't want anyone, even Judas, to betray Jesus. But the third will is the one we're most interested in. His will of disposition, His heart, His desire. God did not enjoy seeing His Son get betrayed. Although it was His sovereign will for Jesus to suffer on the cross, God's heart ached. It's not His will, His desire for people to betray, to sin, to torture. But it was also His desire to see His people redeemed. So He let the evil happen to His Son, so His sovereign will would be accomplished. Now, let's go back to the personal question.
How do I know God's will for my life?
In the first definition, you can't know God's sovereign will unless it's prophesied in Scripture. In the second definition, God tells you how to live a godly life right here in the Bible. He tells you what is good and right. But the third definition is what you really want to know, God's heart and desire for you. God is a real person, so how do you know anybody's heart and desire? First, spend time with the person. Get to know him well, right? Did you ever have a close friend and something happens in front of you and you just look at each other and you both laugh because you know exactly what she's thinking? You know how she feels because of all the times you've spent with her, all the jokes, the late nights, her pet peeves. You could even read her hand movements, her facial expressions. She doesn't have to say, "Thou shalt not." You just know her. You know her heart. So the Bible doesn't have to say, "Don't do cocaine." You already know how God feels about it. How much time have you spent with God? The late nights, the long summers, His pet peeves. Secondly, God opens doors and closes them. If you don't get accepted into UCLA, most likely it's not God's will for you to go there. But if you get rejected by San Diego, UCLA, Riverside, but Berkeley wants you, maybe God's trying to tell you something. Third, sometimes God speaks through other people. Someone wiser or more experienced, someone more in tune with God, a pastor, a teacher, your mom or dad. Fourth, your gifts and abilities. If I told you to do some art and I gave you a paintbrush, I expect you to draw something. If I told you to do some art and I gave you a camera, I expect you to take some artistic photographs. If God gave you certain gifts, God expects you to use it. If you could sing really well, or you're really athletic, or you're really smart, you're not supposed to be like everyone else. Fifth, God puts desires in your heart. If you're walking with God, He will put His desires into your own heart. If you have a passion to help the sick, God put it there. If you have a heart to start a business in a poor neighborhood, God put it there. Listen to your heart and examine if maybe God put it there for you to do His will. And finally, just go for it. As you're taking steps toward a single direction, see if God redirects you, closes doors, or speaks to you through others to steer you differently, or even confirm that you're on the right track. And that's how you know God's will for your life. Hey, thanks for watching. Sorry I haven't made videos in a while. I've been quite busy taking care of this little baby. But I promise to make more videos. But in the meanwhile, watch these videos.